Oh,
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Expansion Experience with Dan Hellman and Joe Nix. I'm Joe. It's so good to be here again. Thanks for coming, and we're just excited to once again just kind of explore different things in our lives that help us connect, help us expand, and relate to others and be passionate about.
yeah. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Anybody that's out there tuning into this. Excited about our topic today, talking about just kind of some of the things we do to help us focus and relax, and kind of the combo of how those might seem kind of like different things, but actually how they kind of really go together in our lives.
Yeah, this is really cool. This is a topic that I think Dan and I have connected on multiple times over the years, and some of that is because we have some different activities we do together that help us relax and unwind. But just like the idea behind chasing something out of either the joy it brings or like just the calmness, and I think
Mm,
there's a lot of things we do that bring both at the same time. I think meditation is one of a very easy example of that. That is typically a very calming activity, soothing activity, but absolutely requires focus and
yeah.
presence and being there for that to be the reality of what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think meditating is such a good example of, yeah, it require, or like, I don't know, requires isn't a great word, but it's so much about focus. And but the result is hopefully like, I don't know, more peace or calm in your life. And I think that's so cool. And yeah, just the idea of focus, I think, is an interesting thing. Trying to get into that like flow state. And I love that meditation is almost like, yeah, it helps practice that and getting into that state of
Right.
mind. And just the overlap with so many other things in your life are really cool.
It is really neat. I think that the connection between focus and intentionality in that is
Mm.
one we often miss because there's a lot of activities we do for joy that we wouldn't um I don't know that we would say we have a whole lot of focus around or a whole lot of intent around, but the actual action of it. Some examples of that would be like motorcycle riding or
Mhm.
um, rock climbing, things like that. Like you're very present, you're very intentional, you're very
Yeah.
focused on what you're doing to stay alive. It may not seem like that, but
Mhm.
both of those activities are, um, while being fun and relaxing for a lot of people in a lot of ways, very very dangerous ones. You have to be present to keep doing, to stay alive.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting. I've been thinking about just this topic all day today, the idea of like focus and like the intentionality behind it. And sometimes I feel like I lose, like, especially with those things that bring me joy. Initially, it's so easy to focus. It's something like mountain biking or rock climbing or something. It's so easy to focus on the in those activities, and it's, yeah, it's meditative. It's like beneficial. And then I find myself, I get too caught up in trying to do it and do it well.
Mm,
um and sometimes we'll lose that joy aspect of it, and that it's beneficial. Or even like meditation, when it starts to become something that, I don't know, I'm keeping track of, and I'm like, oh man, I've done it this many days in a row, then I lose that, like, I don't know, kind of the joy of it and the
mhm.
purpose of it, and it becomes another task in my life. So I feel like I always have to like check myself and say like, okay, what's my actual motivation here?
I think that's really important to to stay aware of because there are so many things I think in a lot of our lives, events and things, practices. Sports is a great example of that. Things we do to relax, to chill, to connect with other people, to do in group. There can be so many different reasons we do it, but it's easy to slip into as we get connected or excited about that event, slip into this judgment, slip into this like I'm not climbing as well I could be climbing. I'm not riding as
Right.
well, and it's not fun anymore because I'm not engaged or progressing at this cycle that I want to. And I think you have to be so aware of that and conscious of that because it really shifts the benefits and the rewards you get from doing that event. As soon as it becomes
Absolutely.
something that you're marking yourself against and judging yourself with, like it's no longer meditative, it's no longer unwinding. um you are focusing, but I think in a very different way. that this is probably not why you started doing that activity, in the
Right.
first place. So just like the, not necessarily goal setting, but just being aware and present with why you're doing something. And um, there was we were talking about this earlier this week. I was talking to a gentleman who'd been riding motorcycles and Harleys for 30 years. I think he's probably 45. So he started in early teen years riding, and we were just connecting on riding motorcycles. It's something I recently got into. Dan's been riding longer than I have, but um, I was just, kind of passively commenting to the guy that I was almost grateful that I didn't get started riding till my mid 30s, because I don't know that I would be alive, just because of how I acted in my 20s, and my fearlessness, and in a negative way, and kind of a haphazard caution with my life. And then
Yeah.
it was really interesting to hear the gentleman reflect back to me that he wasn't sure he would be alive if he hadn't had the outlet and the option of writing in his life, and what a positive source for him it had been of having his own freedom, having ability um, to go and be out on the road, to explore, to be alone, to be meditative, all these different things that help him get through a lot of different situations in life. And I just thought it was really neat, like most things in life, like perspective shapes so much of like what that does for
Right.
us, as something I'm, reflecting back on, as that could have caused me physical harm because of where I was mentally. For somebody else was a saving grace, was something that really allowed him to, not that it wasn't physically dangerous for him, like that's still true, but it also allowed for him to show up in his own life and be something that was very beneficial and helpful for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Yeah, it's so interesting. I think, yeah, I think riding motorcycles in my early 20s was certainly not a great choice looking back. And I'm very thankful that nothing terrible happened. But
Yeah.
it's one of those, I look back and I totally understand why my parents thought that was a terrible idea.
Yeah, I actively think that, even getting on my motorcycle now, I'm just like, this is a really bad idea. And I love it. And I have a great time. And with all these things, like, um, dangerous activities and stuff, but we just have to be conscious of where we are in that, and what we're participating and willing to risk. But a lot of why we wanted to speak about this was just really encouraging people to do that if they don't have habits and activities that allow them to unwind, to connect, to focus on just the joy of being in that space, in that moment. Just really encourage people to find that, because I think we all natively have things that we love and would enjoy doing, and I think a lot of us may just not have discovered them yet, not taken the
Yeah.
time to try some different things, whether that be through like meetups or different like sports stuff, or different outdoor things or indoor things. Both Dan and I at this point like live in Colorado, and there's
Mm.
so much focus on like the outdoor sports, the outdoor um, activities. I think we can forget like just how many healthy um, hobbies and things there are that happen
Yeah.
inside, and it's okay whether you're doing that in a group or alone or like whatever it is, but just finding ways to connect with yourself and focus
Yeah.
and relax.
Yeah, I think it was interesting talking to my wife about Cindy about like working out and stuff, and that she called it like self-care, and that like working out was a form of self-care, and I'd like never thought about it that way.
Mm.
And but it had a huge impact on me, and I feel like it changes how I approach like working out. I've always loved like going to the gym or rock
Mhm.
climbing or any of those things, and just seen them as like a fun activity. But trying to switch now and also think about it as like, no, I'm doing this to like help take care of myself, like
Mhm.
because of the physical benefits and the mental benefits. And I feel like it's had a huge impact just on those activities in my life. I find them even more beneficial and
Yeah,
more fun now. Um, and thinking of it, yeah, as the same way as meditation. It's like taking 10 minutes and saying, like, no, like I'm gonna do this because I know it's good for me. And yeah, it's awesome. Oh,
that's really really neat. And the weightlifting one is a really interesting one to me, because it's never been a way I've connected with that, um,
mhm.
kind of unwinding and focusing and just like kind of being in that almost zen space. And I know
Mhm.
so many people do. Like you're one of the ones that I would connect with that too. Like just knowing you in that habit, just
Mm.
how much joy you got from it, and how much just relaxation and further engagement in life it allowed you to be. I
Oh,
think
absolutely.
that's one of the really neat ripple effects of these spaces we allow for ourselves, is how they flow out into the rest of our lives, and allowing us to be more present, to be more aware and show up because of the self-care we've taken, somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it makes a huge difference. Like that's, I mean, yeah, I noticed the days or it's more like if I go a week and I like haven't been able to get outside or do those things, like it's just a different feeling. And it's
Yeah.
like I think all of it's yeah about connecting to yourself and being able to identify those things. And yeah, for me, it's yeah, weightlifting works, and other people like it's not like that
Right.
doesn't connect for them, and that's I think is yeah finding the thing that works for you.
Hmm.
What's the thing that allows you to connect with yourself, feel
Hmm.
like you're taking care of yourself, and that focus. I think finding something that you can focus on and devote to that brings you joy.
Yeah. And I'd really encourage anyone to just be very, very cognizant of their thoughts around it. Be very cognizant of not judging yourself for like whatever activity it is, how long you do it, how good you are at it. I think that's a misnomer, and something a lot of us like kind of get confused on in this culture is like these different hobbies we have. Like I think so much of our media and so much of our culture just pushes toward excellence and perfection. We feel like we can't do a hobby unless we're really good at it, and that's
Right.
ridiculous. You do a hobby because it's what you love, because you
Yeah.
enjoy it, because it brings you, peace and connection, and whatever that is. You don't need to be good at it compared to anybody else. And
Right.
I would really
Oh,
encourage you to just practice self-love in that, and let yourself off the hook. Try to have some fun.
yeah, I love that. Exactly. Like it's all yeah, it's about yeah, having fun and finding the things that bring you joy and not comparing yourself to others
Yeah.
or even I get caught up comparing myself to myself the day
Yeah.
before and
Yeah.
always wanting to like be better, be stronger and do it better. And I think sometimes those can be important things when you're trying to grow and get better at something, but sometimes it's important to just yeah, it's like just embracing the thing because it brings you joy and just
Hmm.
saying like and even a day of a terrible workout or a terrible run or anything like that is it's better than not going out and doing it. And so just
I love
yeah,
that.
giving yourself credit of like, hey,
Yeah.
I did this thing like and I meditated for a minute today. Like awesome. Like that's
Mhm.
better than not meditating at all. Like you gotta claim those victories.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so it's been so important in my life in moving forward. In these activities and just in getting benefit from them.
Mm.
Because it's so easy to get in our own heads and cancel out, like just because of our thoughts or our reaction to something or our self-doubt or judgment, to cancel out the benefit of whatever it was we were doing, whether that be meditation or a run or just
Oh,
appreciate
right.
yourself for showing up. The results they don't mean anything about you. It's just it's the participation in the event, and I think that's something that I'm still trying to learn, still trying to uh, actively participate with and in myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd be interested to hear like I'm sure there's like all sorts of other things people do to
Mm,
focus and do these things that like it'd be fun to hear like what are other people doing that bring you joy that help you
yeah,
focus like what's your kind of like outlet or a thing like that be cool to hear.
yeah. Love to hear the community just and connect on that, because there's always, this is a neat thing about life too. I think we're actively still finding things in my own life and that I didn't know
Mm,
about before that I enjoy, or um a new hobby or a new sport, or whatever that is. Like meditation is relatively new to my life as a
mm,
consistent thing. It's something I kind of played around with for I think in 15 years before it actually became a daily activity, and no
mm.
judgment there. It took a while for me to connect, and I think probably not probably I know so much of that had to do with judgment around myself about how I felt I meditated.
Mm.
For years,
Yeah.
I felt like a shitty meditator. I just judge myself after it. And that's really hard to want to go back and do something if that's, your mental and emotional response to an activity is degrading yourself or judgment. Like, it doesn't really
Absolutely.
inspire you to show back up. It doesn't really inspire you to keep trying. No, and it just took me a decade to kind of see that and start shifting it.
Yeah.
Uh, back to the self-love piece, like, and here I am. And now I meditate. So, took a few years, but
Right. Yeah. That's so good.
now
Yeah,
we're here.
absolutely.
Yeah. Right.
Nice.
Well, thanks so much for chatting about this, Dan. I know this is, like I said before, like an area that we've connected on and even bonded as friends just through different activities. Rock climbing was one of the early things that Dan and I
Yeah.
did a bunch together. And yeah, it's just it was a really neat way to grow together while focused on something else, focused on nature, focused on being there, being present, and you know, just allowing the growth to happen internally in the background. It's really neat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for bringing up this topic. Such a good one. It's I think it's a fun one to always be growing in and always thinking about, like, how am I growing in this and getting better at, yeah, focusing and finding joy in that and self-love and all of those things. So yeah, really fun.
Appreciate it. And I thought it was just kind of in closing here, really appreciate that note that your wife Cindy mentioned to you too, just about the uh the reframing of ideas around things that we already do. We're referring back to, as Cindy talking about, like weightlifting in Dan's life, like actually being a form of self-care. And I think it's really important that we see ourselves for the things that we're doing in our lives. We see ourselves for the way we care about ourselves. We see ourselves for taking breaks, for practicing self-love, for having habits that build us up, and feel good and bring us joy.
Yeah,
Reward that.
absolutely. Yeah.
So, thanks everybody. We'll see you soon.
Awesome. Bye.